Hey, Shalom, Mark, giving to Rakah Rakapash from Jimis London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakadash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful that preaching his truth and not sincerity. Got a couple of articles here, man, and I'm going to entitle this video A Life of Measure and Restriction, right? Because that's what these elites are planning for the people in the world, right? And all these schemes that they got going on currently, and are developing, right? Is all all for the purpose of getting you to take the MOTB, man. All right. So uh, on the face of it all, it sounds or looks like this is something that's good. That's gonna help people. Um, you know, but ultimately, all Esau is doing is putting everybody into this lower standard of living on purpose, right? He's putting people into the lower standard of living to be then dependent on these, quote unquote handouts. Okay, as you see in this article here, they're talking about the universal basic income, okay, which basically benefits, but they want the whole kind of, all these countries to kind of live off that, except for those, except for the wealthy, essentially, right? Everyone's going to get pushed down into this lower class bracket of being poor, while the rich get richer, the elites get richer, and you're going to live off rationing system, essentially, right? So this is from USA Today Money, right? So guaranteed basic income pilot programs are growing around the country, and it's funny that you know it's at this point in time where everybody seems to be trying to get on one of these programs, like, to put it out there. At the same time as the global pandemic is happening, people are being pushed into poverty more and more, right? Esau's developing, CBDCs, right? Digital currencies, right? That he wants you to adopt, or that he's gonna force you to adopt, or cause you to adopt, right? And so that they can control the cash flow. They can monitor all cash flows. It's not really cash anymore, but they can monitor all transactions of money, man. All the transactions, right? They can bank the unbanked. They just want to monitor everything, man, and control everything to the minute. Because CBDC is a digital currency which is completely programmable. Programmable. You know, you can give it parameters, expiry times, and certain functions that you can't. You can only spend it on certain things or certain places or whatever. It's control. It's a greater method of control, and this basic income is going to play into that, because that's how you're going to be delivered your basic income, your basic credits or your rationings or whatever you want to call it, whatever they decide to call it. In the end, you know. But that's what the people are going to be on, because the world is going to shit, right? And like I said, it's being done on purpose. It's being orchestrated, right? And Esau's forcing you into poverty, man, into desperation. Okay, so these programs are designed for the people to, be put on. Okay, when these economies eventually collapse, and the food is no longer uh really accessible anymore, where the government will have to step in and control it. Okay, and you're going to be given your instructions. You're going to be given instructions. And it's funny because we had that here in the UK. We had that nationwide emergency alarm thing go off. Well, not me personally, but the UK had that thing go on to alert you to emergencies, and to what to do in emergencies and stuff like that. Well, guess what? When there's riots in the street, and there's no food and that, there's gonna be emergency alarms going off, telling you what you can do or what you have to do, um, to kind of preserve yourself, right? And you'll be told, yeah, you could go down to the nearest, you know, facility, whatever facility that may be, right? and go get your CHIP, okay, and sign up to the rationing system, or whatever. You know what I'm saying, to get your rations, right, to get your food, your water, your medication, or whatever, right, and it's all gonna be monitored and tracked through that CHIP, man. That's how it's gonna be done. All right, but anyway, let's get into this article and grab some scriptures, right? It says guaranteed basic income pilot programs are growing around the country and community leaders are doing something about it. If you were living paycheck to paycheck, what could you do with extra cash that came with no conditions attached? Yeah, that's the dream right there, isn't it? No conditions attached, just free money. Money's not free. It ain't free, man, right? Even when, like, we saw it during the pandemic, America and these countries were just printing out money and giving people free money, right? Free money. But all that free money is causing inflation, okay, which is costing you money. You know what I'm saying? It's making things more expensive. Okay, making your dollars, your pounds worth less. It always costs something. It's not free, but not only that, it's a psychological operation, but because it's making you, well, everyone wants free money, right? Who says no? But psychologically now, in times of trouble, you turn to your government to provide you with all things, uh, during these types of emergencies, these situations, right? Well, that's why people are going to flock when all hell breaks loose, and they're just going to jump into it, man. They're not even going to give it a second thought. They're not going to consider these prophecies that are in these scriptures about taking the MOTB. They're not going to think about these things, man. They're going to think about eating. They're going to be thinking about drinking. They're going to be thinking about, like I said, medication or whatever. That's what what's going on. That's what their main concern is going to be. They ain't going to be thinking about these scriptures. All right. So it's getting you into that sheep mind state, man, that you're just gonna do what the government tell you to do because at the end of the day people want to eat, right? So yeah, so if you were living paycheck to paycheck, and what could you do with extra cash that came with no conditions attached? A 2020 study from the Center of Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia University found that income guarantees of as little as $250 a month for adults and children can reduce poverty by 40%. Yeah, because we know poverty is a big issue. So this sounds great, right? When the pandemic exposed nationwide income inequality, mayors for a guaranteed income, founded in June 2020, began advocating for guaranteed basic income at local, state, and federal levels. Now, pilot programs are popping up across the country. The movement already has 100 mayors on board, and they're getting country leaders to join the movement through Countries for a Guaranteed Income. The founder, Michael D. Tubbs, former mayor of Stockton, California, and special advisor on economic opportunity and mobility of California Governor Gavin Newsom's office, launched the first mayor's-led program in Stockton by selecting 125 random people and guaranteeing them $500 a month for 24 months. Yeah, sounds good, right? The Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration, also known as SEED, reported how participants spent extra funds for repairs when the car broke down, food, medical bills, and new shoes for the children. The pilot, yeah, well, you put it couldn't have been Jake. couldn't have been Jake, man. Jake was buying Nikes and shit by the boatload when they was giving extra money, man. But anyway, right? The pilot concluded in February 2021. All right. Okay. It says, what is a guaranteed basic income? A guaranteed basic income is a direct cash benefit from the government that provides people with money regardless of their employment status to support their basic needs. Right? And direct, you're gonna get direct, man. When you got the CHIP in your hand, man, you're gonna get updated direct, right? You're gonna be updated with your with the amount of credits you got, what credits they are, where you can use them and whatever, right? Yeah, you're gonna get uploaded, right? So the movement is rooted in racial justice and was first touted by Dr. Martin Luther King Black Panther Party. A universal basic income differs and provides everyone with a cash payment on an individual basis and without an employment requirement, according to the Basic Income Earth Network. Pilot programs across cities and countries are experimenting with the idea. New Mexico, Los Angeles, Chicago. So in August 2020, Pew Research Center reported that 54% of US adults opposed a federal guaranteed income of about $1,000 a month, regardless if they worked. The opposition was mainly among white people 65 and older. So the majority of support was among Black and Hispanic adults and those from lower income households, but in both political parties, younger adults with lower income expressed higher levels of support for the issue too. Yeah, of course. It's not really surprising. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I wonder who's behind all this then. Yeah, it says how is guaranteed basic income funded? Currently, guaranteed basic income pilot programs are being funded through philanthropic donors and the American Rescue Plan Act. I wonder if Mr. William G. Bill G is one of them donors, I wonder. Right? Because these elites are behind all these so-called philanthropists. It's just another word for these elites and their puppets, man. Getting you people to conform to the idea of that's how you're gonna live now. You're gonna live off the government and they're gonna pay. You're gonna be, at the mercy of the government, man, because you ain't gonna have no jobs. Okay, you don't have no access to food and all that kind of stuff. So you are gonna be begging. That's why you're just gonna jump on it, man. Says there is no federal funding program. An universal payment of $12,000 a year to each US resident over the age of 18 will cost $3 trillion a year. Yeah, but you're already mad in debt, so what does it matter now, I guess? All right, so that's that. There was just one other article I wanted to quickly share because it has to do with like money and funding and stuff like that. But here in Germany, it says from 2024, network operators in Germany will be allowed to limit electricity without the consent of their customers. All right, so like I mentioned, man, you're gonna be living by measure and by restriction, right? This whole smart technology and combined with this climate change movement, this green movement, man, you're gonna be told what you can and can't use, man, and you're gonna be limited, restricted, and you could be turned off, man. Right? Everything's gonna be digitally calculated and monitored, man, and they'll just turn you off. No more, no more electricity for today. No more gas for today. Or you can only use the electricity and gas between this time and that time. This is the world that you're gonna be living well. That Esau is trying to put you in, right? And when he rolls out the MOTB, these CHIPS, man, that's when you're gonna get linked into all of that. That's the final piece of the puzzle, man. Esau's creating all this infrastructure around us right now, and the last piece of the puzzle is you and being connected to that system digitally, right? And that's going to be done through the CHIP, the MOTB, right? And then all this fun and games can start, and Esau starts being a dictator. You know what I'm saying? Telling you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't use, where you can and can't go, 15-minute city, but you can't, all this stuff. It's not a joke, man. Esau looking to, have you subjects, man. But anyway, let me read this and we'll grab some scriptures, right? So, heat pumps and e-cars should be taken off the grid at peak times, right? To electric cars, right? Well, that will all this hype about, we need to get electric cars to save the planet. Well, these men are saying, well, you're not gonna be able to drive these electric cars, man, because actually they're not as, efficient as one would think. All right, but anyway, so in the case, In this case, control means electricity rationing. The so-called last mile to the buildings is particularly problematic. Cables and transformers that are often not designed for the needs of the future. In order to keep the entire network stable, operators should be allowed to take heat pumps and e-cars off the grid at times of peak load. The Federal Network Agency is currently working out the details. The power supply can only be throttled at times, but only with the consent of the customer. They are rewarded for this concession with a cheaper electricity tariff. Rainer Mayer is a heating engineer near Augsburg. Only a few of his customers make use of the model. The switch off times go into a certain privacy. Something in my house is switched off by an external person. Most of them do not want to accept this intervention, despite the price reduction. However, the already known legal framework is clear as of now. Electricity rationing. Okay, this is the key word: rationing. Everything to get rationed. You know, and like I said, they got the whole WEF movement. You will own nothing and be happy. Well, you know, let's replace those words. Be happy, or you'll just accept it. You'll come, you know, you'll come around to the idea. You'll just accept it. You know, not that you'll be happy, but you'll be kind of fairly content about what the situation, because there's no other options, right? So you're gonna have to deal with that, right? Electricity rationing, even against the will of the end customer, will come from 2024. All right. So, here we go. There's a quote here. He will use a Raspberry Pi computer running on your garden solar panel and be happy. That's the WF quote there. Right. So that's what ESO, you know, the future ESO wants. That's what he wants, right? Well, for the most part, people are going to think, you know, a lot of this is great, but yeah, you don't understand, you know, Esau's plans and these ideas. And scripture say we're not ignorant of Esau's devices, man, and Esau ain't nothing but the devil, you know, trying to crush the people. But anyway, this is Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 16. It said, moreover, he said unto me, son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Okay, so the Most High, you know, did this to the children of Israel already. And he's done this plenty of times, right? Caused famine to come upon the earth, right? But there's gonna be a famine of a lot of things. Okay, not just food and water. You know, everything's gonna be scarce, and Esau's gonna put you in a corner. You know, to the point where you're gonna have to accept his demands or his suggestions or his plans. You know, you're gonna have to accept the fact that, you know, he said, well, you're gonna take this sea hip, and you're gonna come down to here, and you're gonna get, you know, access to this and that. You're gonna just accept that because, like I said, you're not gonna have many options at that point in time, right? Because the Lord is breaking the staff of bread of this place and using Esau to do it. Listen, none of this stuff is happening by accident. Okay, the Most High's got these devils working overtime to implement their plan, to cause the you know, to destabilize the earth. All right, so you have to come run into them. All right, it says, moreover, he said unto me, son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, by rationings. Okay, you want to try and make every little bit last, you know? And they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Okay, you're gonna be very careful of how much you're eating. Everyone gonna be on a diet that day, right? So they that they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. All right, because the judgment of the Lord is coming. All right, so your food, your electricity, your water, you know, all of that is going to be, you know, restricted. Okay, and I'm going to get this passage here from Genesis 47, right, verse 13 says, there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all of the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt, and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth, right? So like I said, all this cash that we got in society right now is gonna be worth nothing. Okay, that's why there's gonna be a need to, jump on a new model, a new system, a digital system. Okay, and that's why these CBDCs are being created, to replace, this current system, right? But when this current system drops, right, everybody's money is in this current system, and it's going to disappear and be worth it nothing. So, you know, you don't be able to afford nothing, right? Everything's going to be super high in price, super inflated. Okay, forget double and 200% and all that kind of stuff, right? You're going to be paying unaffordable prices, or you're not paying unaffordable prices, should I say, right? Price is going to be mad, right? Which you're going to get that in Revelation 6 in a minute, right? And so the only option you got is to jump on this new system, and Esau's going to dictate that system. He's going to decide how much you can receive and how much you don't get, So this is the same sort of situation that's being applied here, or which happened here, right? It says, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth, right? That's what we're going to cry out to the governments. People are going to cry out to the governments that you can't just let us starve to death. We've got no money though. Like, we can't afford it. And the same sort of things happened, I think, during, was it World War II? And one, maybe, right? With the whole rationing system. Prices of things were coming so mad that the government had to step in and control the prices. And that's when the rationing cards started to come out. Right? So that everybody, because it's for equality, right? So everybody had the opportunity to eat. It wasn't just the rich people that could afford it, but the poor could also get food too. Same sort of thing is going to happen. All right? So then Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And the mad thing is that most people don't have anything anymore. People are getting chucked out, owning anything. That's what the WF is here for, to relinquish ownership of things, right? So you ain't even got nothing to barter with, nothing else to trade with, or for, you're reliant on this cash, and this cash ain't worth shit, or ain't gonna be worth shit. All right, so. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all that their cattle for that year. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, We will not hide it from my lord how that our money is spent. My lord also have a herds of cattle. There is aught left, there's nothing left in the sight of my lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread. And we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and the land be not desolate. All right, so you're gonna give yourselves over, man. Okay, you're gonna get yourself hipped. You're gonna give yourself into the government, and you're gonna let the government run you and dictate to you, what it is you gotta do. Right? Obviously, that's not gonna apply to everyone. Some people are gonna be, resistant to that, but the majority of people are gonna accept the conditions that they're in and just, get down with what the government's saying. Do what they got to do to get their provisions. All right. So you're gonna stand in line and get hipped, take the MOTB, but that's in direct violation against what the Lord, told us not to do. Right. The Lord told us not to take the MOTB. Right. So, but people's, integrity and convictions, man, they were gonna break down in those days. So you might even, quote unquote, believe in the scriptures, and you might even think that the CHIP might be the mark of the MOTB, but your integrity and your convictions are going to break away because you don't really have faith, right? That's what's going to happen to a lot of people, and the majority of people just ain't going to care. They're going to take it anyway. All right, but that's the sort of scenario that's being built up, okay, with these elites. Okay, what the Most High is making these elites build up. Right, this is Revelation chapter 6 verse 5. It says, and when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Right. So basically, what this is saying is representative of high inflation, things that didn't cost much is now costing a hell of a lot. And when you go into all these words, the pennies and the measures and that kind of stuff, right? Okay, you find that the penny was a silver coin, or 10 silver coins, I think it was in this instance, right? And this will be a man's wages for a day, right? But all he could afford with that day's wages was a measure of wheat. And you go into the word measure, it's essentially a liter in terms of volume, right? Of wheat. And technically, that's less than a loaf of bread. A day's wages, you're gonna get half a loaf of bread for that. That's how much it's gonna cost you. A day's wage can only get you half half a loaf of bread. And that's the kind of mad prices that these things are gonna be at, man. Bread is gonna be a luxury, like a super luxury. Your bread costing you £100, £200, not £1.20 or £1.50, whatever it is right this second. Times it by 100. So it's going to become unaffordable for most people. And this is why you're going to be dependent on the government to provide you with bread, to provide you with whatever else. So yeah, and so that's the situation that's coming to be. With all this inflation, we see the prices going up. Well, it hasn't finished yet, not by a long shot. Okay. It's Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Right? So, like I said, you've got to be dependent and reliant on the government, and the government got to turn around and tell you, look, this money system's broken. We're going to jump onto this new system that we've been creating. We're going to use these CBDCs to get everybody access to quote unquote money or whatever, right? Rationings and all that kind of stuff, because you don't need a bank for it. Everybody can get on it, right? You just need to get this CHIP, and we can register everybody, whatever. And this is how he's going to cause all. He's going to put people in an impossible position, a desperate position. That's how he's going to cause you, right? He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor. Everybody's included, because everyone's going to be affected by it. The only ones that are really not going to be affected by it are the elites. But they got their own thing going on. They might even have CHIPs in them, but their one's going to be different. But for the majority of these people out here, man, you're going to be subject to this situation, right? He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So that's where primarily going to go, right? And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, right? So you're going to be restricted, right? You're going to be told that you can't do this or that without this. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Okay, so there's going to be a requirement for you to be able to do these transactions, man, to purchase this food, to sell this food if you're a vendor, whatever. You ain't going to be able to do that without that, because it's all going to be on this new system. And you have to be on this system. Because how else can they monitor it? How else can they be fair and equal, right? So that's going to be the requirement. Okay. So yeah, they're going to ration your energy, they're going to ration your food, ration your water, ration your fuel. If you're even allowed to have fuel, they might just say, look, nah, greenhouse gases, whatever, you can't use the fuel no more. But if you've got an electric car, guess what? You can't drive it on peak times, or you're in this 15-minute city, guess what? You can't travel, this and that time. You can't leave this area. You know what I mean? This is what it is. This is the world that he's creating for you, man. And It's worse than any dystopian movie you ever watched. you know, just go watch 1984, man. That's what Esau wants, right? Um, in Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 22 says, "And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown; the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty." Right. So, like I said, things are going to be scarce, man. Okay, you're not going to be able to get things as easy as you get them today, and for some things you can't get still, right? And that situation is only going to get worse. So you're going to be put in a desperate situation, man. You're going to make desperate decisions, right? You're going to see where your mind's at, you know. In Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 19, we'll close it with this. Let me jump up a bit. Verse 14, right? It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men." Right? This situation that's going to come upon the earth, man, this time of great trouble, is going to cause riotous behavior. Okay, riotous behavior, right? It's going to be complete chaos and anarchy out here, right? And invading one another, they should not regard their kings or princes, man. You're going to have people that obviously are not getting down with what these governments are proposing around the world, right? So you're going to have resistances, all right, because they don't want their privacy and their body autonomy invaded and all this kind of stuff. You're going to have those, right? And of course, their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because you don't have the right credentials, right? You'll be blocked off. You can't come into this city because smart cities are always monitoring you and tracking you. Right, so these 15-minute cities is what they are. You got all these cameras and AI watching you all the damn fucking time. You're gonna be met with armed response. Right, so you're not gonna be able to just freely travel from place to place like that. Right, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right, and ultimately, all this is judgment from the Heavenly Father, man, for the people's pride and their wickedness. Right. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? And you already see the tensions between peoples in the world already, whether it's because of politics, whether it's because of the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. That people's tension, people going crazy during the pandemic, man. You had people that that were pro and people that were anti, and they just hated each other guts, man. The pros really just wanted to kill the antis, man. You know what I'm saying? They were mad. Took all kinds of mad stuff. Maybe they should just die then. So people's hearts are waxing cold, man, and that's only gonna get worse as time goes on. Right? So people are gonna be attacking each other. They're not gonna give a damn about your situation and what your problems are. F that. They got their own problems to deal with. So they're not gonna give a damn about you. They're gonna come to your yard, trash your yard, take your shit, kill you if they have to. Might even kidnap you, man. Use you. You know what I'm saying? So, people's hearts are gonna wax cold in that day. All right, and there's gonna be all kinds of atrocities going on. Okay, so a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, right? And for great tribulation, because you're in a desperate situation, man. Okay, people need to eat, right? And so they're gonna do what they can to feed themselves and their families, man, because they don't want to die. They don't want to starve to death, right? So let me finish on that actually, right? Because the time of great trouble is coming, right? It's Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was, since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Right, a time of great trouble is coming, man. Okay, and all this, all this stuff plays a part in it. Esau's setting it up, but we're not in darkness. We're privy to Esau's. We're not ignorant to his devices. We're privy to what he's trying to do. Okay, we're privy to what the Lord wants to do. the Lord's will. Because that's the most important thing. We're privy to that. Okay, we know we got to resist these things. Okay, but even if it means our death. All right, so that we may be saved. Okay, but that's it from me. Lord Witness is edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Next time I say shalom.